Welcome back to the Fast Break. Friends, it is Wednesday, August 19th. And thank you guys so much for tuning in. Today is a solo episode, so we'll see how it goes. I haven't done one of these in a really long time, since at least at some point last season. So we'll see how it goes. My unchecked mind, we'll see where it wanders off to today. Should be fun. Strap in. We're drinking by all means, it's a Montana beer. Never had it before. God given it. So we're gonna check that out and see where my brain by itself goes with a beer in it. What are we talking about today? So we haven't done a podcast in a while. Not a ton to talk about, but last week had quite a bit happen. Of course, we're going to start off with Russell Westbrook retiring, one of the top 75 players of all time, polarizing figure, one of the guys I love to watch. I think we all love to watch. One of the best highlight dunkers in the history of the NBA. Also one of the biggest choke artists in the NBA, but gave it his all every time he stepped on the court and was never shy. Let's just say that. And then we got the Lakers randomly being sold out of nowhere. What are the ramifications of that? Why did it happen? Is Jeannie Buss fighting against it? Why does she have more say than the rest of her siblings? I guess she was the favorite. And then also the Clippers, a lot of LA basketball. Russell Westbrook's from LA. Lakers got sold. And the Clippers with Kawhi. Looks like there's not going to be any discipline from the Aspiration and fake tree company deal that he did that got him to LA from Toronto in the first place. And now he's on his way back to Toronto. So everything's coming full circle here. So yeah, that's what we're going to talk about today, or at least I'm going to talk about today. And hopefully you stick around and listen for it. But yeah, let's start with Russell Westbrook. Retired after 18 seasons a few days ago. Fantastic career, Hall of Fame career, high lottery pick after going to UCLA, only being a 3-star out of high school, so a little bit slept on, joins up with Kevin Love at UCLA, has a phenomenal year. Didn't know how high he was going to go in the draft. Sam Presti, the genius in Oklahoma City, takes him way higher than I think a lot of people assumed he was going to go in the draft. And from year one, they knew they made the right decision. He teams up with Kevin Durant, so he kind of won the lottery himself of getting to match up with the best forward besides LeBron James of the last 20 to 25 years. And they had a lot of success together, obviously going to the finals in 2012. Unfortunately, they faced off against LeBron, D Wade, and Chris Bosh, and a Miami team that probably wasn't going to lose to anybody that year. Had a good showing. Obviously, the refs were very favored towards Miami in that series. Would they have won anyway? I don't know, but it doesn't help when you got to play the refs and LeBron James. He was up and down in that series. Really bad game 3 when they won. Great game 4 when they lost to go down 3-1. They got closed out. You really, at that point, thought Oklahoma City with KD and Russ were going to be in the finals year after year after year, and they never got back. They never got back with that core. Harden was then traded to Houston in what was a big mistake to save $4 million. They easily could have ran it back and gone back to the finals again the next year, assumably. But they never got back. He won one finals game in his career, and that was it. And he was, you would have expected a little bit more out of him from there. But he was never a 1. He was a 2. If he was your 1, you probably weren't going far in the playoffs. If he was your 2, that was great, and you might be able to win the championship. Then he goes into his peak with him and KD. They were close in 14. They were up 3-1 in the Western Conference Finals against the Warriors. And then Klay Thompson has Klay game 6 when they were trying to close it out in OKC and meet up with LeBron and the Cavs in the finals, which who knows how that finals would have gone. You know, not having to play the Warriors, would LeBron have had a little bit of a different series against the Thunder? I'm not sure. It would have been their second go around. Maybe they play a little bit better. Miami probably still wins, but could it have been different? We never know. There's a lot of what ifs when it comes to Russ's career. He's top 5 in MVP voting for 5 years there. Obviously wins in 2016, 2017. Even that's a little bit debated after KD leaves, he gets the reins by himself. His stats are unbelievable, averaging a triple-double. Even that's a little bit controversial as well, too, because Steven Adams is letting him get boards. It's like, on free throws, they're boxing out so Russ can get him. Russ is taking 24 shots a game, sometimes 30. So it's heavily swayed to let Russ get all the stats. Was he the best player in the NBA? Absolutely not. Let's just call a spade there. Very easily could have been James Harden. James Harden was going nuts with Houston, ironically, who he was then traded to team up with a couple years later. Kawhi had a fantastic season. You obviously can always go with LeBron at any point during that 10-year stretch. But he won it nonetheless. And, maybe it was a career achievement award for the effort he had shown and given to basketball throughout his entire life. That's the one thing you always got from Russ, is you knew what you were going to get from him. Every single game, every single year was maximum effort. Ultimate effort guy at all times. One of the most athletic humans in the history of the United States. I would argue that with anybody. Dunk highlight reel that's as good as Jordan's, Dominique Wilkins, anybody's up there. I mean, just ferocious dunks. Just a fantastic dunker and specimen of a human being, I would say. One of the most athletic people we've ever seen. But yeah, anyway, then the entire team is revolved around him. We got that game against Denver where he drops like 50, 20, and 15 and has the half-court buzzer beater to beat Denver, which pretty much, and I think that was on national television as well too. So it basically closed the conversation for who the MVP was that year. I remember watching that game live, and it was raps after that. He was the MVP because it's always a little bit narrative based as well too. And he had the narratives going that year. It was kind of like, fuck KD, this is my team. He's putting up, 20, 10, and 10 every single night. And, people just loved Russ. I loved Russ. He was the last Sonics lottery pick. In a different universe, he's, one of my favorite players, and I got a Russ Sonics jersey, hanging up in my room, or maybe hanging up in the back of this stew. Yeah, that's another what if with me. Gosh, I wish he would have been a Seattle legend. He would have loved Seattle. Better than OKC, I'll tell you that. Suck it, Oklahoma. But yeah, wins the MVP, whether you think it's deserved or not. Goes on a couple more years. Was he overrated during those years? Probably a little bit. His teams always won in the regular season at a high clip. That's typically how the NBA goes. Effort, showing up every night because he was durable as hell too. You're going to win a lot of regular season games. But when it got to the playoffs, as soon as KD left, he never won a playoff series. I mean, that tells you it's kind of the dichotomy of it all. He'll win a lot of regular season games, but he's not going to win playoff series for you as your number one. He was great in the playoffs in 2012, 14, 16. He's had good runs. He just can't Can't be your number one guy. Um, MVP year, 31.5 points, 10.5 assists, 10.7 rebounds. Just stupid numbers. Nobody thought anybody was going to average a triple-double after Oscar Robertson. But he was a really high usage player, the highest usage we've ever seen during his MVP and OKC years without KD, and that doesn't work with winning basketball. We saw how the Warriors won during that time frame. OKC was playing a whole different game, where it's you go, I go, or it's just all Russ. And that's why as good as he was, KD, Harden, Braun, they were all pretty good with letting him walk at the end of, their time with him. Was he a great teammate? I'm sure. Like, guys have talked about how much they love Russ. Was he a great teammate on the court? Not necessarily, even though his assists were pretty high. Did he make a bunch of players better? No. Not in the way Harden did when he was cooking, or Steph, or those type of guys. So, it makes it a little bit difficult to kind of assess him. He's definitely the hardest guy to assess, for sure. Pause. And yeah, I mean, his team's always won no matter what. He, like I said, ferocious dunker, but he couldn't shoot the three. He didn't let that stop him. Obviously, being a guy from Southern California, growing up in LA, he was a Kobe fan growing up. Green light at all times. He's shooting. He don't give a fuck who's around him or who's open. He is shooting. He had that Kobe mindset as far as toughness, mentality, defense. Just you're gonna feel him when you're playing him. The effort's gonna be there, and he's gonna shoot the rock as many times as he wants, for better or for worse. And a lot of good times, a lot of bad times. It was the best of times. It was the worst of times with Russ. Oh, so yeah, had that Kobe mindset to him, Mamba mentality. KD, when Russ retired, KD talked about how much he was in, or how early he was in the gym, during their days in OKC. I mean, he got his workouts in early, and he was just a gritty dude. But yeah, that goes to Houston. Good year with Houston. Third team All NBA. People kind of forget that. And obviously that was COVID season. So weird year, weird playoffs, cut short. He gets third team All NBA. Can't knock him for that. They were doing like small ball with him at center. Worked decently well in the regular season. Obviously, when they played the Lakers, and then you had Anthony Davis there, that shit ain't gonna work. So good run with them, and then obviously moved on to Washington. Washington fans probably have the highest approval besides OKC with him, because he dragged that sorry ass franchise to the playoffs just with all heart. And then obviously lost in the first round, as per usual. But fantastic year in Washington. Gosh, where did he even go after that? He went to the Clippers for... Oh, no, Lakers. Once he hit the Lakers, it was over. LeBron was like, no, I can't do this. He kind of screwed up that era of the Lakers. Obviously never made it to another finals. Got rid of talent, depth, and it wasn't a good fit at all, obviously. LeBron needs shooting around him. He doesn't need a ball-dominant guy who can't shoot. That's the worst fit. I don't know why the GM vouched for that one. One of the mistakes he's made in his career. But yeah, that was tough because obviously probably a Laker fan from LA growing up, and a brutal situation. Clippers for a couple of years, decent. Denver, and then finishing on Sacramento, which went out sad. And that was it. That was it. 9-time All-Star, 2-time scoring champ, 3-time assist champ. At his peak, just kind of an unstoppable force on offense, and gonna miss watching those highlight dunks. And I wish I would have been able to see him in Seattle. But lots of crazy stat Russ games. Oh, I got some stats here for you. Wait, hold on. Wrote these down. Sorry if you can hear my Beer burps. Whoa. Oh, Westbrook is one of two players. Oh shit. LeBron is the other that ranked top 15 all time in points, assists, and steals. 209 regular season triple doubles. 4 of 7 seasons in NBA history, a player averaged a triple double. 20-21 with the Wizards. Was the only player averaged 11.5 rebounds, 11.5 assists. Yeah, people don't give him enough credit for his rebounding, even when it was, goosed up. 3 players in NBA history, Luka and Big O are the other two, to average 20 points, 6 rebounds, and 8 assists over their career. 4 players, LeBron James, Jokic, and Bird. My guy, Larry Legend, right here. To have averaged 20 points, 6.5 boards, 6.5 assists over 100 playoff games or more. So yeah, just phenomenal career. Shout out to Russ. The last guy to hold up a Sonics jersey was a lottery pick. And yeah, just a good player. He gave everything he had to the game. Top 75 all time. I'll miss him kind of being chippy with reporters. And yeah, shout out Russ. Great career. Sorry he went out sad. Okay, moving on. And as we speak, the Mariners have just given up another run. Let's talk about the Lakers. The Lakers. I don't like these new owners. Teams are getting way too expensive. Am I right, ladies? Your man can't even buy an NBA team anymore. But no, I mean, the Lakers go for like $12.5 billion. I forget exactly what it was. Look, you're not coming here for accuracy. You're coming here for fun. Teams gotten too expensive. I mean, there used to be like, a local rich guy in each city who could buy the team that was from there that probably liked the team. And now it's just stupid tech bros or Josh Kushner. Yes, of that Kushner family. At least it's not Jared. But yeah, it's all a little bit fishy. Obviously, okay, so Mark Walters bought it. He owns the Dodgers, Chelsea, real rich asshole. And he might get arrested. Like the FBI closed in on him. He sold the Lakers. He is now selling his Chelsea stake, I believe, which is 12.5%, and probably going to sell the Dodgers as well too. Ironically, as everybody's mad at the Dodgers for spending too much money because they got a super rich owner, and now they're might implement a salary cap. I digress. And so this guy Mark Walters, he runs a company. Forget what it's called off the top of my head. Probably should have wrote that down pre-pod. Guggenheim, of the Guggenheim family. Y'all not familiar? No relation? No, there is a relation. And what's funny to start off about the Guggenheim company, but he's like an insurance guy. Aren't they pieces of shit? And good, big company, whatever. Originally got the name because he wanted the Guggenheim family name, so he partnered with a guy who had that last name, who was a descendant, so it got approved and he could use the name, and then he cut that guy. But they just wanted the name for validity and credit. So that works. This guy's been pretty good at just collecting assets throughout his life. But anyway, people were questioning kind of where he got his money from, because the amount of money he was spending on sports teams, Chelsea, Dodgers, Lakers, some of the biggest sports teams in the world, cost a lot of money, if you don't know. And they're kind of adding things up, and they're like, well, that doesn't make sense. This guy doesn't have that much money. His bid was $1 billion more than anybody else. And people were just kind of questioning where he got this money. It didn't seem like he had it. He was using allegedly, potentially, I don't want to get in legal troubles here. Please don't tell uh, the president. Um, he was using insurance money that people were putting away for their insurance. He owns a couple of companies. So, usually these companies that, run life insurance, people invest them or they take that money and invest it in safe places, bonds, stocks, the whole thing, things that are going to make a bunch of money no matter what. And that's what they do. They diversify and they make a bunch of money, but people paying in. Well, what Mark Walters liked to do was he was like, well, what if I invest this in sports teams? The Lakers, the Dodgers, the money always goes up. And honestly, not a bad idea. Teams, especially the Lakers and Dodgers, have never gone down in value. And I'm safe to say they never will. Okay. They print money. But so anyway, he uses this money and kind of leverages it because you can leverage a lot of insurance money. It's like for $1, you can fucking basically you use 15. I'm not exactly sure how it works. But he's coming up with billions that he might not necessarily have to buy these teams. Not a bad idea. Like I said, it's a pretty safe investment. It's always going to go up in money, but you need to disclose that information when you're buying a team, where the money's coming from. And he didn't. And then FBI agents boarded his plane and took his phone and found out that this guy might have been using a little bit more money than he claimed. He claimed he only invested $3 billion of people's money from his own company. And now there's reports that number might be 16, 20, maybe even north of 40 billion of people's insurance money. And that's not okay. So it's probably has been taking billions and billions of dollars that the people have been put away and buying sports teams left and right. I'm pretty sure he got into like rodeo and lots of crazy stuff. So that's not chill if you don't report it and don't tell people where you're getting the money from. So the FBI is breathing down his neck. He's got to start selling his assets and get his ass out of jail, which might not work. But anyway, this is kind of crazy considering it's the preeminent franchise in the NBA. And he's been just using them as an asset and buying them with people's life insurance money. Now, who knows? A lot of these guys are insurance guys and get their money from suspicious ways. But you got to disclose that information, and he didn't do a great job of it, even though people say he's smart. I don't know. Sounds like an asshole to me. Sounds like a dumbass. But anyway, the Lakers sold. They've been owned by the Buss family since Dr. Buss back in the 70s, 80s. And the Showtime Lakers, if you know the lore. But yeah, they got sold. Now they're sold again. Now they have 5 siblings or 5 children under Dr. Buss. Jeannie, if you haven't seen her, look her up. Good looking woman, smart. Has kind of been running the show more than the other siblings. She's got final say, veto power. And it was 5-1. She was the only vote to not sell. But now she's like, well, I have the say kind of on this. And they want to get it back and say, we didn't want to sell in the first place. So we'll see. They might just be given back to the Buss family in the first place. But we'll see. But it's interesting. I think the sale happened so quick. We didn't even know the Lakers were for sale. And then they were for sale and they got sold to Bob Iger of Disney, if you know, ever heard of Mickey Mouse? And, Josh Kushner of the Kushner family. I'm on that good cushion alcohol. And so, yeah, it was surprising it was quick, but I think Adam Silver wanted to happen quick because he doesn't want the owner of the Lakers being sent to prison while he still owns the Lakers. So we'll see. It's going to get messy. We'll see how it goes with Jeannie Buss and the siblings. But it's a weird, interesting time for the Lakers right now. I mean, Mark Walters wasn't a bad owner by any means. He might be an asshole, but he's not a bad owner. I mean, you got Luca in the building, supplied them with money. It's been a good and profitable and prosperous Lakers time, even though no title in 6 years. Suck it. So yeah, we'll see. Speaking of Adam Silver, it seems like he's not going to get the Clippers in trouble for what they did with Kawhi Leonard and Aspiration. If you don't know, there was a company that was supposed to plant trees, and Kawhi Leonard got a bunch of money for them, and they're involved with the Clippers as a sponsor. And basically, it helped get him to LA from Toronto back in 2019 after he won the title with them. Took a bunch of money from them, didn't do anything for them. So it looks a little fishy as far as getting money from a company and not having to do anything for them to incentivize a player to sign with a certain team. A year-long investigation apparently has found not enough of a paper trail to get him in trouble for that. It might have been his uncle Dennis who set up these deals to get him money. As we know, he's a little bit of a shady character as far as trying to get money and these deals out of his nephew's talents at basketball with these teams. So seems like they just didn't find enough. And if you're the Clippers and you're Toronto, you're off the hook. Toronto, you get Kawhi Leonard. Toronto's going to be really good next year as long as everybody stays healthy. We've talked about that on previous pods. And if you're the Clippers, you didn't get in trouble for probably doing something illegal to get Kawhi Leonard. Now, Ballmer's a smart guy. Why would he put his reputation on the line? Part of me does believe that he didn't necessarily know exactly what was going on. And was the league going to get him in trouble ever? I don't know. Because guess what? He's a very powerful guy, like sixth richest man in the world. Has been a great owner so far. Make state-of-the-art stadium. Good to fans, passionate. And I don't know if Silver was ever going to cross him, even if it did look bad. But probably not enough of a paper trail, and they didn't want this to be an issue longer with punishments making the news. So, another rich guy gets off scot-free. Shocker. But yeah, I mean, and Ballmer invested a bunch of money into this company when it was going down and potentially going out of business, because obviously if they go bankrupt, they'll get audited and then things will start to come forward. So that looked a little bit suspicious. And things could look a little bit weird, but ultimately it looks like they are not going to get in trouble, which is really annoying after a year-long investigation. I thought it would have been a little spicy to have the Clippers lose draft picks and Kawhi have to be, I don't know, not play next year or banned. And if this was the David Stern era, it might have been a little bit different. Obviously, we've talked about how spineless Adam Silver is, and this is just another example of that. Yeah, other than that, I mean, how you guys hanging in there? No, but let's see. Genie Buzz. Oh, a little WNBA action. I just wanted to talk about that because the discourse has just gotten insane around the WNBA. I mean, we're not even talking about the games anymore. They just turned into a left with just like the WNBA mainstays versus the right, which is like new fever, Caitlin Clark, Sophie Cunningham fans and anti-trans propaganda that they're promoting. And then Enes Kanter hops in. Well, first of all, they're going to get a new commissioner, and I hope they pick the right commissioner because this one has been terrible. She does not have the players back. She is like anti-Caitlin Clark. And we really should be just highlighting these women like Asia Wilson and Caitlin. everybody else and just, promoting the play because the play is really good now. And always has been. And now we're just talking about like it's like locker room mean girl bullshit that we're talking about. And it's kind of taken away from that, but it's all good for the league. It's clicks. I mean, it's never been more talked about. Like WNBA, as far as talk shows, is dominating baseball right now. And that's great. I mean, if the WNBA could slide into like the fourth major, I mean, they won't, obviously, but like as far as talk show goes, they could be that number 4 option of talking points over baseball because baseball is kind of lame right now. People are like mad at the Dodgers. There's not too much excitement except for, the Boston Red Sox going on their hot streak, which was cool. But other than that, there's not a lot of awesome storylines. Like Otani's not pitching right now. PCA, really cool with the Dodgers. He's been exciting to watch. But like Cal Raleigh last year, and I know this is probably a little bit of Mariners bias, but like Cal Raleigh fell off the face of a cliff. This year, injuries, just playing like shit. Like Judge was injured for a bit, so not a great MLB year after following up a fantastic year in playoffs last year. So tough for them, but the discourse is crazy, but I guess it's working for the WNBA because more people are watching. More people are watching. I've been watching a few games. I watched the Storm lose to Indiana last week. They're not doing super hot, but Indiana is. And I mean, hopefully for the league, they can get them in the championship, in the finals. That would be ideal for the league. You need those clicks. Vegas too. Get the aces in there. It's exciting. But anyway, we'll talk a little bit more WNBA in the future here. Give it its own kind of episode and whatnot. I need a expert to come on and join me so I can ask some questions. It's kind of like me watching hockey. I'm like, who's that? And who's that? But yeah. And then obviously fuck Enos Kanter for being like, I'm gonna declare for the WNBA. Like, dude, you might be able to play in the WNBA. No, I'd probably be able to play in the WNBA. But he's just doing this for clicks, and it's going to work because it's getting people on the right fired up and it's getting people on the left fired up. And he knows what he's doing because he's been doing it for a while now since he basically got blackballed from the NBA for 1, sucking, and 2, changing his name to Enos Freedom and being a weirdo. So, yeah, other than that, really excited for football season. We're going to have some football content for you coming up soon. Hopefully when I'm traveling over to Boston, I'm going to see my boy Sterling, who you've seen on the show before, and we can talk a little bit of football because I'm getting really excited about the Hawks. Just signed Trayvon Diggs today. Signed Terrion Arnold as well too, but apparently he's going to be on the commissioner's exemption list because he decided to rob a guy with a deadly weapon, which who of us hasn't? So apparently he's not going to be able to play most of the year. We'll see if he'll be able to get off the list. But yeah, we'll do some football content for you. We'll see if anything comes from the Clippers or any moves, but obviously a very dead part of the year for basketball. Like I said, talk some WNBA for you, and then we're going to get into a little bit more football content. Maybe we'll do a little bit of rebranding, so stick with us. But anyway, that'll do it for me today. If you listen to this point in the podcast, what the fuck is wrong with you? Because it's just me today. You must love hearing the sound of my voice, even if you hate it. Thank you so much for listening to this point. Once again, make sure to like the episode, subscribe if you can, share it with your friends, and make t-shirts and sell them to people in the hood. That's all we can ask. Okay. Thank you guys so much, and we'll see you next week. Bye-bye. Love you guys.